Hey everybody, this is Noah with Learn Meta-Analysis, and I have been using ChatLLM for 4 months now. I started using it in November of 2024, and I wanted to do a bit of a review on how my experience has been now that we are 4 months in. So in all openness, ChatLLM has been good, and I think it does have an important role in the ecosystem for those of us who use large language models. However, I am finding that I may be moving away from it soonish, but I want to talk about why, and just because I might be doesn't mean you should. So let me talk to you a little bit about what ChatLLM is, why I think it is awesome and still likely the default for the vast majority of LLM users. I still think this is a great system, especially for those who don't want to play with local large language models, or maybe you don't have the compute to run local large language models. I think that ChatLLM is probably still a really great resource for you, and it's something that I'm still going to recommend to people. However, I will say that for me, I still do subscribe. I'm still using it as of today, but I'm thinking about moving, and I'll talk to you guys about why here in a few minutes. So first, let's go over all of the things that I think are super cool about ChatLLM. And I will say I'm not going to go through all of the features because some of the features I think are a little bit more advanced. And in my opinion, if you're using ChatLLM, you probably aren't going to use those more advanced features. That's my guess. I'll talk a little bit more about that as I go on. So let's talk about what ChatLLM is first and foremost. ChatLLM is a $10 a month service, and you get access to a whole bunch of different models. You can see there's 19 different large language models here. We have ChatGPT 4.0, and I will say real quick that these models change with time. Okay, so like as time goes on, they add different models and they swap out different models. 19 is the most that I've seen currently, and honestly, they're a really great set of models. I mean, look at this. You got GPT 4.0, Claude Sonnet 3.7, Gemini 2.5 Pro. You got more GPT stuff. You got DeepSeek. You got Gemini. You got Grok. You got, Llama 4 Maverick. I didn't see that. So apparently Llama 4 Maverick is now on there, and that just came out like literally yesterday. So that's pretty cool. We have QWQ32. We have the older version of Claude, and the one that got me really excited when I saw it earlier this week was Perplexity Pro, because if you watch the channel, you know that I really like Perplexity, and I was just really excited to see that this is now built in. But we're going to circle back to that. Okay, so for $10 a month, you get access to all of these different models, as well as a bunch of the different services that they offer through ChatLLM. Now, one of the other things that's a little bit unique about ChatLLM, in my opinion, is that we can create images, and with this we have a bunch of different models available, as you can see here. Boy, this is even different than when I looked at it last week. So I don't think Gemini was on here. Maybe it was, but this list is definitely longer. I've been using Recraft lately. I think it makes really cool images. I really like Recraft, and honestly, image generation is one of the reasons I have not gone away from using ChatLLM. I find myself not using it as much for the chat features because I have access to other models, but I'm still keeping it for image generation because I like it, and I don't have the compute to be able to run image generation locally on my machine. And I know those of you who are out there who know a little more, like, well, you can do it through Gemini for free now with the experimental models and AI Studio. Yeah, you can do things like that. But here's the thing. I like having all my LLMs in one place. That's what I think the best thing about ChatLLM is for me, is I love having access to everything in one place. So for me, this has been great. I can come here to chat with Claude. I can come here to do my image generation. The other thing, they have PowerPoint generation. I showed this in a previous review. They have deep research. They've been working on this, I think, and improving it over time. You can do deep research with any of these different models. So as an example, I'll say, what's a good deep research topic? Maybe something like, I'll just do the same question I always do. Explain social agency theory in the context of pedagogical agents. So we'll let that run, but that's going to do their version of deep research with Claude 3.7 Sonnet. And I just want to point out that deep research isn't one thing, okay? So like a lot of times when you hear people talk about deep research, they're like, oh, this is real deep research. Deep research is branding, right? Like it's just a marketing tool for having these large language models run a process where they do research, maybe they reflect on it, and then they end up giving you some sort of longer report at the end. So in my opinion, deep research is a marketing strategy to describe what a general set of processes that agents might be running in the background. So right now, this is running. It typically finds, in my experience, about 100 different sources that it extracts data from. That said, I did a video recently where I compared the deep research from Gemini to the one here in ChatLLM. I have to admit, I preferred the Gemini results, and Gemini is free. So through AI Studio, or maybe it was Gemini. I think it was Gemini.google.com, not AI Studio. I don't really know why they have so many different options for Google for accessing their large language models, but that's a totally different story, so I'm not going to talk about that. So anyway, you can see this is running. It's researching. It'll do its thing. It's coming up with sources. It's finding it. I'm just going to let that run in the background as I talk here. So you can do deep research with any of those different things. And as you can see, you have a number of different options. It has a canvas on it, so if you have it write code, you can see what the code actually looks like. I'm going to go ahead and well, we'll just start another chat here so I can show you this code. So if I say, for example, sorry, I want to turn off that code. If I say, for example, create a modern landing page in HTML and CSS, it's going to create that for us, and we're going to be able to actually see what that looks like in the what they call like the playground over here on the right side. So this is very common. You've probably seen things like this on Claude or GPT or other resources. I just wanted to show that this does this as well. So currently it is creating our file. As you can see, it is running, blah, blah, blah. We will let it do this, and then we will check out what it comes up with. And I will say this does seem to be generating a little bit slow at the moment, but I think that's because I also have the other one running in the side. But we will see. All right, it is moving along, and we are starting to get down to testimonials, which makes me think we are just about at the end of the page. A footer now, okay, getting all fancy, putting footers on the HTML page. All right, so let's take a look at this preview once it's done. It's still thinking here, so we will let it finish its thinking. Boom. All right, and now we can see this modern landing page and what this looks like. So I really like this playground feature. As I've worked on HTML, I found it to be very useful. So we can make this full screen or we can get rid of it. So I'm gonna go ahead and start a new chat and show you just a couple of the other things that are here. You can generate videos. They have a bunch of different models here for generating videos as well. I actually don't use this feature that much, but I think I might start in the future, seeing how many there are here now. Last time I looked, there were maybe only 3 or 4. So there's a bunch of different newer models on here. I know that one that's been real popular on YouTube is this particular one. So I will have to play with that more later. But then they also have all of these other features. I'm not gonna run through them all. Unless you guys have like really, really deep questions about any particular the item that's listed here. These are relatively self-explanatory, so I'm not gonna go through them. The one that I think is interesting and people said that I didn't pay enough attention to last time is this idea of tasks. So what a task is you can basically set up and I'm going to use NOAA words here, not like real computery words. You can basically set up a bot to do something for you. So what I've done is I like to check for new Ollama models, and I was finding I was doing that pretty much every day. So I basically set up a bot to go check the Ollama website, and basically my instructions are just check the Ollama models page and provide a list of new models that they uploaded the day prior. And you can see all the different options here. I have it just run once a day at 9 a.m. So my experience with that has been, it's fine. It does run once a day. It's 10 a.m. here on a Sunday, and it has not run yet today. So it tends to run kind of not really at 9 a.m. Maybe, I mean, this one says it ran at 9 a.m. yesterday, so I don't know what time it's going to actually run. It does run once a day, so I will say that. I do get a result on it every single day, so that makes me happy, I guess. But yeah, I thought it was going to be more interesting than it was for me, but I also realized that I don't really use agents. That's just not the type of use case that I want. So what is the elephant in the room? Why is this $10 a month? It's $10 a month because you have what are called compute points, and you get up to 2 million compute points a month. I will say I have never really hit that. I've never come close to hitting that with my use. You may experience otherwise. So as an example, let's see what we ran here. We ran with Claude Sonnet, we ran deep research, right? So we ran our deep research on social agency theory, blah, blah, blah. How many compute points did this deep research use? With Sonnet 3.7 is what it said it used. It used about 7,000 of my 2 million compute points. So that means that we'd be able to run a lot of deep research with ChatLLM before reaching that 2 million mark, right? So as I said, the other thing that I've been really happy that they added is Perplexity Pro. I really like Perplexity. I do feel like they fell a little bit behind, but recently I feel like they're coming back, right? Like they're becoming stronger. There's still something that I want to use. I just wasn't going to pay for Pro. But now that Pro is included in ChatLLM, I'm using it more again. I've just found that I'm back to using it. And so I was thrilled when this got added here. So I'll just ask the same thing, explain social agency theory in the context of pedagogical agents. And Perplexity will do its thing. We get a response pretty quick here. See, so that said, if you're really interested in more of the features and things like that, please look at my previous review. I don't want to spend a ton of time talking about that today. What I want to spend time talking about right now is who is this for versus what is the other option that I am considering. The other option that I am considering is connecting OpenRouter to OpenWebUI. So if I open up OpenWebUI here, you can see I have my OpenWebUI hooked up to Mistral with my Mistral API key, and then I recently set up my OpenRouter API key. Why do I do this? Okay, well, I did this because as I thought about it, the main benefit to me of when I first signed up for ChatLLM was access to Claude at half the price, right? So Claude to access through their website, something like $20 a month as of now, but I could access Claude here with quite a lot of usage and only pay $10 a month. Plus I had access to all these other models. To me, that was a great benefit. Now, here I am 4 months later, and I'm wondering, I'm reflecting today as I was getting ready to film this video, because like you guys can probably tell, I don't script these out in advance. I just think about a general idea and then I talk. So the thing that I was thinking about this morning, do I want to keep paying $10 a month for ChatLLM? As of now, the answer is yes, and I'll tell you why. Honestly, for me right now, it comes down to image generation, and now that I know that there's more in video, I'm probably going to play with that. But like the image generation I actually use. So you're probably wondering then, like, am I just not using Claude? Am I not using Perplexity? Didn't I just say I like those? Yes, I do. But I can access them through OpenRouter, and I think I can access them cheaper through OpenRouter because I don't think I actually use enough tokens where I would reach $10 a month through my OpenRouter use. So let me give you an example here, okay? So yesterday, I was working on updating the AI-assisted data extraction app. And so what I did is I created this PDF of one of the conversations I was having with Claude, and I was just trying to work on a record button because it wasn't working great for me, and I was trying to fix it. So essentially, I have 11 pages of chat here, right? And I wanted to know, how many tokens is this? And so I asked Claude how many tokens it is. The whole thing was roughly somewhere between 2,000 and 5,000 tokens, right? So that one conversation is not a lot. So it says, given these estimates, this conversation would represent a small fraction of the 208,000 input tokens needed to reach. So to give a little bit more context to a computation I had done first, I wanted to know how much chat could I actually do with Claude 3.7 before reaching $10 a month? Because let's be honest, $10 a month is cheap, right? Like that's the main reason I like ChatLLM. It's so cheap that I don't really care about it. Like I don't care about $10 a month. It's worth it for the access to these things. So when I was doing this math, or I should say when I was having Claude do this math, basically I said assume 1/3 input to output token rate. And it says I could have 208,000 input tokens and 625,000 output tokens. Now I have not actually like done the math to see if this is correct. I didn't care. I just needed a ballpark estimate of where this was going to come up with. And so what I'm seeing here is this is a lot of chat, right? Like this is really a lot of chat for me and my use case. That's a lot of tokens. And so that's why I wanted to estimate this whole thing with my whole previous conversation. And it's saying it's only like 6,000 tokens, somewhere between 2,000 and 6,000 tokens. So I think I could use OpenRouter, which charges you per token. I think I could use OpenRouter and be cheaper than $10 a month. So who is this for? Okay, so let's talk about who this is for. I recommend ChatLLM to people who are just getting started with LLMs, and I recommend ChatLLM to my friends who are not technically inclined and don't want to take the time to deal with something like setting up Open WebUI with Docker and setting up API connections, right? If you are not that person, you are not technical, you don't want to think about technical stuff, ChatLLM is your jam, right? This thing is awesome. Now, somebody commented that they didn't like that you can't set up folders and things like that with your chat over here. If you care about that, yeah, this isn't the right service for you right now, because I don't think you can do that, right? You can just edit or delete chats. I don't think you can actually group them and all that stuff. Personally, that is a complete non-issue for me because that is just not how I use things. I could wipe out literally every single thing in my chat and it would make zero difference in my life. I usually when I'm asking a question, it's a dumb little question like this and it's gone and I never think about it again, right? So I don't care that I can't save these chats under folders and things like that. If you want to be able to do that, this is probably not your service right now. So I do appreciate the person who commented on that. Sorry, I don't remember your username right now. I do appreciate your comment about that. I wish you'd phrased it a little bit nicer, to be honest with you. But I do appreciate your comment of pointing that out, because if you do care about that, this is definitely not the service to use. But at least as of now, they may change that in the future. But as of now, I think this is an awesome service for people just getting started with LLMs who want access to a bunch of really cool LLMs, like state-of-the-art LLMs, and want access to image generation, and want access to a version of deep research, and want access to video analysis and scraping URLs and setting up tasks and video generation. Like, let's be honest, that is a ton of functionality for $10. In my opinion, it's a heck of a deal. That's why I pay for it. You guys, if you watch the channel, you know I don't pay for nothing. I never pay for things. This is literally the one thing that I pay for in regards to large language models and stuff. It's the one thing that I use. It's the one thing that I still recommend to my friends. I recommend it to my students. I recommend it to everyone who is not technically inclined but wants to use large language models, because you can go to one place and get all these things here. So why am I thinking about switching? Let me show you why I'm thinking about switching. For me, it's convenience, okay? So I find I use a combination of local large language models and like the big web-based large language models. So here in Open WebUI, I have configured Mistral and I've configured OpenRouter. And I just did OpenRouter this morning as I was thinking about this question. And here's the thing, okay? Look how many models I have access to through OpenRouter. And I know you can't read these, I'm just scrolling, so, oh, that's Dolphin. Okay, I was wondering what that blue thing is. I didn't notice that they had a little logo in it, but that's cool. So you can see I have tons and tons and tons of models available to me through OpenRouter, okay? They're not all free, but you pay by usage, by model, right? So for me, what I'm thinking about doing is putting like $10 into my OpenRouter account, and then I would pretty much turn off everything except like the main thing I would want through OpenRouter. They have Claude 3.7 Sonnet, so I'd keep that. The other one that they had down here, I gotta find it. I'm not a big fan of the reasoning models, so I'm not gonna be using the DeepSeek stuff. That's a whole different conversation. But somewhere in here, we will find that we have the other model that I want to use, which is my good friend Perplexity, okay? So where is Perplexity? This is alphabetical, so you're probably like, well, geez, Noah, it's gonna be after NOP, Perplexity. Yeah, it is. But look, this is the reason I was scrolling, okay? We have all the GPTs here, so we can get access to those, and then here we are. We're at Perplexity. So, but this is the one that caught my attention. You can use deep research within Open WebUI using Perplexity's deep research, and to me, that was pretty stinking cool, right? And again, there is a fee. There is a charge if you set up OpenRouter like this and you're using the not free models. So there are free models available through OpenRouter, but this is not free, right? This would be paid for usage. But I think for me, in my use, this might be a good alternative to ChatLLM. But I can tell you for a fact the things that I would miss if I switch. I would miss the image generation. I just would. I love using the image generation. So the question in my mind right now is, am I going to keep ChatLLM primarily for image generation? Or am I going to switch over so that I have literally one place to do everything except image generation, where I would then have to find a different alternative? And I honestly don't have a good answer to that right now. This was something, like I said, that I came up with a few hours ago, and I'm not sure where I landed on it. It's cheap enough where I might keep ChatLLM for the $10 a month, just so I can use that image generation without having to try and run it locally on my computer, and also to have access to so many different models right there in one interface. I really like that. On the other hand, I can totally see myself deciding a month from now, 2 months from now, 3 months from now, that image generation isn't that important to me, and I would rather just pay a little bit less and basically pay by usage. So that's pretty much where I'm at. I'm realizing this video has gone on way too long. I'm sorry. So let me give you the too long, didn't watch your entire video as Noah walked through all these different things setting. So we are here today to talk about ChatLLM, right? Who is ChatLLM for? I think ChatLLM is for people who do not want to go through the technical headache of setting up something like Open WebUI, where you need to install Docker and Olama and then use Docker terminal to be able to actually pull it, blah, blah, blah. If you just want a simple web interface with access to all the state-of-the-art leading models, ChatLLM is freaking brilliant. I love it for that. If you want image generation, ChatLLM is awesome for image generation. If you want video generation, they have access to a bunch of different video generation models, all for $10 a month. The caveat, compute points. But like I said, I personally have never run into issues with compute points. And the other thing is, let's look here at how much Perplexity used. Perplexity only used 789 compute points doing this search. When we did our deep research, we only used a little bit under 7,000 compute points. And considering you get, and this was with Claude 3.7, so considering that you get 2 million compute points a month, that's pretty great in my opinion. So I think for most people's uses, the 2 million is very generous, and I don't think that most people who are using something like ChatLLM are going to hit that 2 million compute points. I could be wrong. It really depends on how you use large language models. That's why I recommend it to people, because for the average person who wants to use something like ChatLLM, I don't think they're going to hit those 2 million compute points, at least from my friends and students and stuff that I've talked to. So I think ChatLLM is great because we have all these different models for all these different use cases all in one place. Now, if you are a technical nerd like me and you have Open WebUI and you love going back and forth between local models and web-based models, and you don't necessarily care about image generation, I think OpenRouter might be a cheaper way to go. Okay, so that said, I haven't actually tried using these models that cost money yet, so I don't know exactly what my final cost would be. I've done some estimates, and I think with how much I use Claude and things like that, I think I would be at less money than $10 a month, but I would lose my image generation. So that's where I end up for now. I still recommend ChatLLM to my friends. I still recommend ChatLLM to my non-technically inclined students. For people like me who are using Open WebUI all day, every day anyway, OpenRouter might be a cheaper way to get access to some of these models depending upon your use case. Okay, or direct connections to, let's say that you don't use a lot of different models, you only use Anthropic, or you only use whatever, then maybe Open WebUI might be a cheaper use case for you. But personally, I love having access to all these different models. And like I said, when they added Perplexity Pro here, it made me so happy because I like Perplexity. I've been a Perplexity fan for years, and it just made me super thrilled to see this get added. So that said, I'm going to call that the end of the video because I don't think I really have much more that I'm going to go over. Everybody out there who wants to see, like, what does the projects tab do? What does the operator tab do? What is Code LM? What is App LM? What is AI Engineer? Like, those are not things that I actually use within ChatLLM. Okay, so, and I don't think that the average ChatLLM user is going to be using those things. Maybe they'll use tasks, but I don't think that the average user is going to be using operator, for example. I feel like a lot of people who are really interested in the computer use stuff probably know how to use Python. And this is not an environment where Python users, I think, are going to want to be. Like, I think if you know how to use all these things through Python, you're going to want a lot more advanced functionality than what you get through here, and you be able to do those things by yourself, right? You don't need a GUI like this. So I could be wrong. Let me know your thoughts, guys. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Like I said, if you do want to sign up for ChatLLM, I'll include my referral code down there. If you use that, I get a $5 credit, so I appreciate every single one of you who use that or have used that in the past. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Really appreciate you guys helping support the channel. Please do not in any way feel obliged to use that referral code. But like I said, I still recommend ChatLLM to my friends. I still recommend ChatLLM to my students. The thing is, you have to know what you're getting. If you want one simple web interface for everything, I think it is awesome for that. If you're already using Open WebUI, you might be able to get access to many of these features cheaper, as long as you don't necessarily need image generation or video generation or some of those other things that you can get through ChatLLM really quickly and easily. So that said, I'm gonna end the video for real now. So thank you guys. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful week, and I will see you in the next video.